Hey, welcome back to another edition of Printing's Alive with me, your host, Warren Werbitt. And today we are going in the direction of apparel decorating, as it's called today. And we have Ron Goodwin from Goodwin Graphics. How you doing, Ron?
I'm doing awesome. How you doing?
I'm always doing good. Always doing good.
It's
So,
always a good day.
hey, when I wake up, it's a good day. So, right? And okay, so before we go anywhere, I'm going to tell you how we met because it was actually, I thought it was pretty funny. I met
I
Printing
was
Unite.
there. You didn't have to tell me. I was.
His humor starts right away, and just don't lose the humor because not enough people laugh in life, right? Other than maybe me and a few others all the time. So I go to Printing United. I'm all excited because I started the Print Whisper shop and T-shirts and everything, and I'm running around like a maniac, and I got cards to give out, and I didn't know Ron, and I kind of jump in front of him like I was doing everyone else, and I go off on my 1-2 minute spiel and don't ever let anyone get a word in. And then when I'm finished, he's like, "Oh, that's nice." And I go, "What do you do?" And he goes, "Well, I've been selling T-shirts for 50 years. And I kind of just went, "Oh," but that was just the beginning. What was amazing was, we started a conversation and then you took me around to meet everybody. I know nobody in the T-shirt world. I come from, everyone knows obviously from the other side of the print world. And it was just so enlightening and invigorating because I don't see a lot of people doing that anymore today, right? And it was just like, you took me around, you introduced me to people, and then you were going to give me a coin out of your pocket, right? The pay it forward. And I was just like, oh my. And then we're chatting after, and wow, honestly, great guy. Great guy. So I was like, how could I not have him on the podcast? And it was funny because after the show, I was talking to a bunch of people, even in apparel, and I was telling everyone the story because I was so enlightened and just so happy. And everyone's like, "Oh yeah, Ron, that's Ron." Ron, I don't want to use the word legend because they use that after, but
Why not? It's true.
okay. If you're good with, listen, I never want to make anyone feel any older than they are, right? I was going to say 45 years, and you made me bump into the real 50, so that was cool.
You didn't get a coin, did you?
No, you didn't have one in your pocket. You were looking.
So this is the coin. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah. Just don't shake.
It says, "Today's a good day. Do good."
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people in the industry that have that coin, and it's not a paper card, so they don't throw it away. But
right. So I didn't get the coin, but I got the screen cleaner.
You got the screen cleaner, that's a legacy thing. We don't even do those anymore.
And Ron put it on himself. I didn't even have to. So, and how could I take it off? So I take it everywhere with me, and I tell everyone the story all the time because that just was a great story. So
yeah, I belong to a group called Shirt Lab Tribe, which is T-shirt printers from all across the country, and we have a call on Tuesday nights. And when I went on the call after the show, and one of the participants who has a pretty big shop down in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, said, "I don't know what you told that Warren Werbitt, but he's mentioned you in like 4 podcasts in the last 3 days." And I was like, awesome.
Listen,
But
good people deserve to be mentioned, right?
Thank you.
Because the world today, we're not going to get into it, but the world today is a little bit on fire, right? So I think anything anybody could do to soothe other people's souls and comfort is a good thing. So, okay. So I'm a newbie in the apparel decorating or clothing, T-shirt world, whatever you want to call it. But, and for me, everything is high tech today, and the e-commerce and everything's done on the computer, and digital printing. When did you start and how did you start?
Okay, so I started in the early 70s.
We don't have that much time, just saying. So, no, I'm kidding. We have as much time as you want.
Okay, I'll wrap it up. And I'm still here, still standing, still standing. So if I can put my hand on it, I'll show you. And I don't mean to be political, but I live in the United States, and it's, these are political times. But this is one of the first shirts we did.
Oh my God, that's cool.
And and I would sell them on the streets. They were irregulars, and there were only about 2 screen printers in the whole Boston area, and I had one of them printing them for me. And then as I grew the business, I was a carpenter on an island off the coast of Massachusetts called Nantucket. It's all
Oh,
one
cool.
percenters now, and so I was selling T-shirts on the side, but I was a carpenter during the day. And then as I grew the business, I realized if I'm going to do this, I have to print the shirts myself. So I learned how to print the shirts. There wasn't any YouTube back then. I don't even know if there was cell phones back then. But so in order to learn how to screen print, there was Scott Fresner wrote a book called Making T-Shirts for Fun and Profit, and that helped out quite a bit. He's still around. He's a good guy. But you have to rely on the ink salesman to teach you like what kind of screens to use, the mesh, the tension, and all that stuff. And so when I started out, I was printing shirts in my parents' cellar, and I would use air dried ink. And as I printed the shirts, I would hang them on clotheslines in the cellar. So my goal was to get the clotheslines full so I could take the rest of the day off while the shirts dried. And then eventually it got to the point where I bought a conveyor belt dryer, and that changed everything, because then I was able to print all day and ship them out right away. So, and that's when we went from the air dried ink we were using to plastisol, which is a plastic that when it reaches a certain temperature it congeals and it's done.
Wow. So yeah, it's kind of like when I in the offset printing world and the duplicating machines and where it is today. So that was then. Today, it's a completely different world,
Well, not
right?
completely.
No?
It's so the yeah, I guess it is completely different. But one of the things about back then is there was no competition. I could have sold shirts for $30 a piece and people would pay it because there was no alternative. Now there's like a million T-shirt printers when every city in America has a guy selling T-shirts. So I think it's a little harder to actually sell the shirts now. But on the same side, it's easier to produce them with DTF and other things and DTG and that kind of stuff. So,
Well,
but
I think when you say harder to sell them, I think that's where, knowing how to sell in relationships comes back into play.
it's all about relationships. Jeffrey Gitomer, who's a good friend of mine, he wrote a bunch of books. One of his if you're interested in sales, he's a guy to look up, Jeffrey Gitomer. But in one of his books, he says on the back, he says, all things being equal, people will buy from people they trust, like and trust. And then it says, all things not being equal, people will still buy from people they like and trust. So that's kind of, something I've taken.
Well,
So I don't view customers as a revenue source. I view them as somebody I have to serve. And so the if it doesn't make sense to buy shirts from me, I tell them outright. I says, you could, what you're trying to do, you'd be better off to go to the guy down the street. And then the guy down the street would go, oh my God, you're sending me these customers. And I said, yeah, because you're a better fit for them. And if we're not a good fit, I tell them.
and
And
those customers are coming back because they appreciate
right, and a lot of
being
times
real.
people will come in and they'll go, well, my friends told me to come to you because you're the best, and blah blah blah. And I go, oh, that's wonderful. And then I understand what they want. And one of the things is that they'll say, oh, I just want a cheap T-shirt, and I'm like, why do you want a cheap T-shirt to represent your company? You're better off to buy a dozen good shirts that people will wear than 100 cheap shirts that people will throw away. And it's like, yeah, I never even thought of it that way. But I don't know. And then I say to them, there's no magic. Like the cheaper the shirt, the shittier it is. Why would you want that? But
Oh, so on that point, it's the whole promo industry, the amount of shit stuff that gets sold in the promo industry, companies buying stuff to give away. I'm always amazed. And I say to people that I know in companies, I say, why would you do that? I said, here, actually, I don't have any shitty pens because when I get shitty stuff, I throw it out. I don't want it. Same thing when someone hands me a T-shirt that's a shitty T-shirt, shitty quality, that's going to give me a rash. I don't wear it. I also don't wear T-shirts that have a company's giant logo on it because I'm not paid to promote. So I tell people, I suggest smaller logo. People will wear it. When I did my T-shirts, I went out and I picked the best quality T-shirt that I could find, soft, comfy, like it's nice, fits on the arm nice. I can't help the stomach for people. But I made all my T-shirts the same brand. I'm not deviating. If I have to take $1 off, I'll take $1 off, but I'm not going to lose the quality for $1.
Right.
Because that's what people remember when they come back. Listen, we were talking about Bob Weir and the Dead. When I used to go to the shows way back, T-shirts were all silk screened. They were all great quality. I was just actually at Joe Russo Almost Dead in Vermont in July, and I was selling some T-shirts, and I bought once a Pigpen T-shirt and another Dead shirt, and the guy $20 each because he did them at home. He wasn't a big profit maker. He goes, if you buy 2 shirts, I'll give you a hot dog.
Nice.
Right? Only at a Dead show or at a Dead-like show.
Yeah.
And everyone likes their shirts. And today, the T-shirt business, part of what I got into it was I saw it was like $45 billion and growing. Aside from the fact that I buy 50 T-shirts myself between fishing and concerts every year, I figured, hey, why not get into it? And oh my God, I'm only 90 days in it, maybe, like since the store's open. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. So in your shop, what exactly do you do? In terms of what kind of printing and what's your strength?
We do screen printing and we do direct to film. And we sell most of the products on a limited basis, but if it makes sense. So originally we were all screen printing 100%. And then over the years we've in the last maybe 3 years we adopted DTF. So that's been pretty successful. It's good. It works.
So for people listening, can you just describe silkscreen, DTG, DTF?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. So silk screening is when they make the screens. You push the ink through the screen. Primarily, the ink is a plastisol, but there are companies that print with water-based inks, and so you have to make the screen, set up the press, and do. It's great for. So if you came to Goodwin Graphics and you do less than 144 shirts, then we would recommend direct to film, which is direct to film it's like your grandfather's heat transfer, but it's not. It's totally different. It has industrial adhesives built into them. They're guaranteed to last 50 washings. You can get unbelievable detail. The hand is better. It's just it's changed our business, and I think it's the thing between those two is what you're wearing, which is a DTG, direct to garment, which would be similar to putting a shirt through an inkjet printer. If you could stuff your shirt through the inkjet printer and inkjet print, that's how that works. And that's a good system for single shirts, but it's not
for volume.
It's not good in quantity. So
let me ask you, like I'm just doing like slogans. Are they doing direct to garment with full blown design as well?
Oh yeah.
And that's good. So I have a T-shirt.
I don't get involved in direct to garment, because when it first came out, there was a lot of challenges with the ink drying in the print heads, and you had to have a controlled environment, and you had to run the press every day. So typically, there's a few people I know who've made money with direct to garment, but most of them moved away from that. So I kind of I didn't take the jump into direct to garment. So I went right from regular traditional screen printing to direct to film.
But there's also big cost differences between the silk, the direct to garment, I guess, if you're doing volume and certain equipment, right? And then to the
Right.
So when you say the film, that's like the transfer that you iron on.
Similar to that, but what it is it's digitally printed, and then it's screen printed backing with, and then adhesives applied. So it's like and this is all done like with computers, so it's microscopic. Here, I'll show you one. Hold on one second.
Okay, cool.
So this is a direct to film. So we did this job I don't know, like 10 years ago or 20 years ago, and we screen printed it, and it was 4-color process. So we weren't the greatest when it come to process work. So,
Right.
But I don't know if you can see on there, but the detail
Pretty
on this
good.
DTF stuff is unbelievable.
Right.
And so forget why I'm telling you that, but there are people that insist on the screen printing because they like the idea that it's old school, and it's and I think there's some resistance. They think that the DTF's going to wash off, which it doesn't. I've had one shirt come back in 3 years. So, but a lot of my my close friends heckle me because I'll be telling them about Supercolor, and they're like, "What's with the Supercolor?"
Does it? But so the film to the transfer, does it feel different? Like the shirt that I have that feels heavy, and if it's hot out and I wear it, my chest sweats.
Yeah.
What's
that could be cut vinyl. It could be shitty DTF. It could be, and there's some tricks. I don't know if I should let out the secrets, but there's some tricks in when you do the DTF. So a lot of people don't, it looks like a shiny sticker. Well, you can put a piece of sandpaper on top of the print and give it another hit with the heat, and it'll give a texture to the DTF. So if you could be a screen printer and look at it and go, I can't tell if this is DTF or it's screen printed. Every year it seems to be they get a better hand to them, and they get better color control. So
yeah, I think I like this because it just feels good and I don't hear anything versus the other ones that I have. But as a deadhead, I really like the silk screen stuff because it really lasts and the color's good. And I have some shirts that are so old that I'm like, well, you're holding up old shirts that are still sitting there that you showed me before that are like that. So it's pretty good. How many people? How big is the industry now for printing T-shirts in terms of how many manufacturers could there be?
I have no idea.
It's lots, eh?
It's huge. I had the opportunity to tour the M&R factory, and one of the presses that I showed you that did like the variable data and remember the big blue machines. Well, we got to tour. They hosted the Shirt Lab group to tour the M&R factory, and the conference was about integrating artificial intelligence into your business, but because we were at M&R, we got to see the whole factory, and it's just mind-boggling because it's like the factory's literally miles long, and they're building these machines that print out thousands of shirts a day, thousands of them, and they're all over the country, and it's just, I don't know, it blows my mind because when I first got in the business, T-shirts were like underwear. You had to buy packs of underwear and unpack them and get colors and stuff. And nowadays, it's like, there's 10 million options for T-shirts, and all of them, Gildan, the Canadian company, started by Gil and Dan,
Right.
is
And then it became
big,
Shamandi,
yes.
right?
And
Because they were running it.
they have big barges of U.S. grown cotton that go from the United States to Honduras, like every day. Like as we're talking, there's barges passing each other at sea, going there with raw cotton, and then being shipped back to America with finished goods, T-shirts. And I'd still like, we'll do road races for 800 shirts or 1,000 shirts, and we think, oh, geez, that's a lot of shirts, but it's nothing for, and I have other companies around me. There's one in particular does a lot of band stuff, and they print thousands of shirts every day. And then the band plays, sells out, and they need new shirts for the next gig, which is 3 days later. So they have to be on their game to print those shirts, fly them to the location, and it's amazing. But that's not like, I'm in the T-shirt business, but that's not the business I'm in. We're like a boutique place. If you have you're a carpenter and you have 10 guys working for you with a guy for you, or if you're a smaller road race, a smaller event, or school group, that kind of stuff, with a place. But one of the things I've noticed in the people, the younger printers that are coming along, they all want those big jobs, and those big jobs are going away because it's a lot of on-demand stuff now. So in the old days, the band would buy 10,000 shirts and they'd do the whole tour and work down. Now it's like they buy what they need and then they print. It's more. So it's good for the economy because
and they don't have to travel with
waste.
them either around the country. Right? They just
Yeah.
pick them where they need them. Yeah. No, it's first of all, concert T-shirts are now $60 plus.
Right? And you know who makes the money? The people that has the venue, and the ones who run I guess they're called jobbers, the ones that manage that part of it. The people who print those shirts, they don't make shit, and the band doesn't make shit, and a lot.
Well, actually, what I've noticed, because now that I'm in the T-shirt thing, I'm always looking and talking to people. At the bigger venues, it's a little different. When I go to the smaller venues, the band people are setting up have a person doing their own T-shirt thing or merch stuff. So I guess it varies.
We do a shirts for a band, it's a Aerosmith tribute band called Draw the Line, and they manage their own thing, and they make money because they're able to mark the shirts up a good amount, and they get all of that money. They don't have to split it with. Yeah, they should. Yeah, absolutely. But
listen, I noticed that, first of all, I'm like I have no inventory because I do it on demand, which is pretty cool. But I'm also able to have like 200 designs on the platform in the store, change them up and move them around. And I'm not. I think so far the biggest amount of shirts I've sold was 20 to one company, because they liked them and then they asked me to put their logo on it, which was great.
Nice.
And then they actually put the shirt in their global newsletter and with a reference to me. So who knows what comes, but at least I get to keep putting the name out there, and I'm enjoying it, just because I don't have to worry about inventory after having a big business inventory and worrying about all that other stuff.
You don't even have to open a can of ink, you slacker.
I've opened enough ink. I'm so happy. It's not easy being your only employee. I used to have so many of them, but I'm kind of getting used to it. And if I'm crabby, I have to deal with myself. I don't have to deal with anybody else.
Right.
But it's a great thing. And then even the using Shopify to set up the storefront, and then Printful. So far, Printful has been a good supplier to me. I'm in a Facebook group, Printful Facebook group, and I can't believe the amount of people that have bad stuff to say because they either have no patience or they don't understand how things really run. Right.
Yeah.
So and then I remember there was a few smaller guys I was talking to from a consulting perspective, and you're right. They're saying to me, we want to go for the big orders. And I'm like, you can't. I said, the big guys aren't going to talk to you. You got one little machine and 1,000 square feet. You probably don't even have enough money to buy the t-shirts if you got the order, but they're all scrambling, right? And you have to work on even in the old days, you have to start small and work your way up. But I guess the new generation's a little bit more anxious and maybe thinks it's a little easier. Right.
But Mark Coudray he talks about the power of one, and that we're moving towards that. We're moving in the direction of super targeted stuff. So the old days of this is the design, and we're going to do 1,000 of them, and you buy that design. That's your only option. That's gone. It's going in the direction of this is the design, and it's your design and your name. It's like it's trending towards smaller orders and things like direct to garment, direct to print.
Well, and offering the client the opportunity to do variety. I just hope, because same thing on the commercial or the digital, the print side is, I just hope that the people doing all this are smart enough to keep their margins right. Right? Because you should be making more margin on one or two as opposed to on the volume.
Oh yeah, and that's what I see as a challenge for newer screen printers that buy equipment that can print thousands of shirts, but they bid on bigger jobs and they don't know what their own costs are. They haven't analyzed what their costs are. So great, you got the job for 10,000 shirts, but at the end of the day, you made a dime a shirt, or you didn't even make a dime a shirt. You lost a dime. So I tell kids, because I'm the old man now, but I tell kids, it's like, it's what you take home. It's not, oh, you got the huge order, big deal. It makes you feel good, but you're not making money.
I learned a long time ago, top line is ego, bottom line runs your business.
Right.
And, ego was okay for a little while, but when your numbers start to get serious, you make more money from 1 to 5 than you do from 5 to 10, right? And millions, when you're going, because then when you go to 5, there's other costs you take on, another overhead. So you got to have a handle on it. It's
so our pricing is based on quantity. So the more you buy, the cheaper they become. If you end up buying enough shirts, we end up owing you money. But glad you got that. A lot of people don't get. What do you mean you owe me money? So we kind of struggle with what's the right number, and some advocate that you can sell that way, but every shirt should have a different price, and not don't have tiers. Like, probably not explaining this very well, but like we have at dozens a minimum. At 18 it goes down a little bit. At 36 it goes down more. At 60 it goes down more. 144 it goes down more. But in that doing it that way, if you have a customer that say they want to get 34 shirts, and you tell them, if you get 36, it's going to be cheaper than if you get 34, even if you throw away those 2 shirts, just because the way the math works. And sometimes people don't get that, and I'm like, look, this is
cross the line.
Price for 36. This is the price for 35. And oh, you're trying to upsell me. I said, no, what I'm trying to do is save you some money. But if you want 34 at the 34 price, we're happy to do that. And I guess it comes down to, we have to be the expert. So when they come to us, they don't know about T-shirts, and we're still learning about T-shirts. But the first hurdle is for them to understand that that they can trust us and that we're experts versus I'm just trying to sell them something. Because at the end
Well,
of the day, I'm not. I don't. Well, I'm
but you,
lucky I can be that way. But
no, but it falls into the three categories of customers that I've always said, right? You have like your A customer who values you, trusts you, and whatever price you tell them, they're going to accept because you got to make a living. They need a good supplier, and you're going to get most of their work. And then you have the B customer who says, okay, I need to have two suppliers because I can't put all my eggs in one basket. And he or she is hopefully picking two suppliers that are in the range that they trust, that are about the same price. And then you get the C customer who it's only about the price, who doesn't hear one word you're saying. And then they get the paper and then they look at it and they make a decision. And we really don't, none of us really want those. And I had one of those where he called me up one day and he's like, oh, not on t-shirts, other stuff. He goes, you're double the price. And I go, no, I'm not. I said, can we go through the quote? And he says, sure. So we go through and they were actually elevator wraps. And we go through and I said, he goes, oh, you're laminating it for $6,000. The other guy's not. I said, yeah, because after your janitor goes and wipes down the elevators with the chemical, you're going to be placing another order with the lamination the next day because they're going to be ruined. So you'll spend actually $6,000 more to go with him. And I almost had to like hold him and slap him around until he got it, because he thought I'm trying to pull one over on him. But that's the C customer. I got the order, but the effort you had to put in,
right.
Sometimes, well, I used to have an afro when I started in print, right? So for every odd customer I pulled out of hair, never came back. Yeah. But it's good. It's wow. So what's like the biggest change from when you started to now? Maybe it's equipment, maybe it's people, supplies.
Well, now I'm a very small shop. There's 3 of us and a couple of part-timers. So it's, there was, back in the day, I'd have 5 or 6 employees at least. So we're a smaller operation, but, and I think we're more profitable too, because if you're doing an order for 3 dozen shirts and you do a good job and the customer likes them, they're going to order them, they're going to come back and they're going to order more. If you're doing an order for 250 shirts, they might put it out to bid and buy them from someplace in the Midwest and then find out they're not the same, and then they come back and, there's that little dance. But so I think that's the biggest change. I'm slower at getting out of bed in the morning, but, other than that, it's all good.
Yeah, I'm slowing down a little too, and I got to do some stretching in the morning. Otherwise, I hurt all day.
So one thing though that's changed in the industry is that when I started, I probably had like 10 different suppliers I'd get the blank shirts from. Now there's 2. Not because the other 8 left. It's because those 2 bought up the other ones, and there's been some real consolidation. So when one of those 2 becomes the one, then they'll dominate the marketplace. But for now, they're fighting it out. So,
but even on we had the same thing with paper, right? There's all the merchants and everything, and if there was one merchant, I didn't care. If we all paid $2 a pound and marked it up 30 points, I'm making more money on 30 points on $2 than I was on $1.25. Right? And then I just hope that
I learned that lesson the hard way. One year I got some hooded sweatshirts. I got a deal on them. They're direct from Pakistan, and they were decent. They weren't junk, but they were decent. And so I was able to sell them printed for like $12, hooded sweatshirt. And so all of my customers that were buying hooded sweatshirts, or most of them, I'd switch them to this sweatshirt because it was, it was a better value. And then at the end, when I couldn't get those anymore, and I had to tell the customer, oh, you got to go back to the $20 one. They go, no, I want the $15 one or the $12. And I'd say, well, we don't make those. We can't get those anymore. So, but then what I realized with my accountant helped me with this, and he said, just what you were saying about if you're doing your 30% markup on the blank goods and you're marking up on a $6 sweatshirt versus a $12, so you're making more on the $12 sweatshirt. And the customers, typically, they're getting a better quality product. And so I'm very leery now of when I get the suppliers say, "Oh, the special on this shirt, you get 50 cents off." Well, I keep that 50 cents. If I pass that on to the customer, it's not gonna. It's just gonna be create more havoc down the road because they want to consist. They want to know consistently what the price is going to be, and hopefully they want me to still be in business. But
Yeah, so I would never give that in any business I'm in, rebate back to the customer. If I'm getting it from the supplier and I can make a deal, I used to put it in the bank and I'd say, oh, that would go to cover an error that the customer is going to cause. Because you can't charge them all the time when they cause trouble.
Right. Yeah.
Or the competition says, oh, don't worry, we'll do it, no problem. Like, I don't like anyone who says, don't worry, we'll do it. Everybody should pay for what they have to do. Right? It doesn't make sense. Like I'm even trying on the store. I don't want to do the discount thing because anyone who needs $2-3 discount on a t-shirt. So that's why I'm going to give 10% of my profit to Make-A-Wish and tell people what I'm doing. And I'm going to say to them, if you need the $3, I'll give it to you, but you want to be part of making a kid's dream come true. So I'm not keeping that money, but we got to think about where the value is. But everyone today is so into how little could I pay in everything.
But the thing, the big fallacy of that is, if you want a shirt, whether it costs $12 or $25, you'll buy it if you want it. If you don't want it, it can be $6. You're not going to buy it. But we, because we're the ones providing the shirts, go, oh, we'll lower the price, we'll sell more shirts. It doesn't happen that way. And another thing that I've learned over the years is that people kind of judge value based on price, which I'm trying to explain this. So if I showed you 3 t-shirts and I said, this one's $5, this one's $10, this one's $15, which one is the better shirt? You're going to naturally say the $15 one. And you go, how do you come to that conclusion? Well, it costs more, it must be better. And so it's kind of a mind thing. It's because at the end of the day, who knows what shirt is better than another shirt? Like the Bella Canvas shirt is better than the Gildan shirt, and you know that because you're in the business. But if you're not in the business, you have to rely on the experts that you're dealing with, and if you're not dealing with an expert, that's your fault.
Yeah, listen, when I happen to love t-shirts from way back when, and I'm stupidly picky. This is a 1/2 inch wider. I can't wear it. The air's coming in. It's too loose over here. It's a medium, but the shoulder seam goes over here. I can't take it. No, or how many shirts do you put on where the seam over here is in a funny place and you're getting a point over here?
Yeah, right.
Like I don't want a square shoulder.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's Hanes used to make a beefy tee, which I thought then was the best shirt. Probably not the same as it was then. Gildan, there was
still
some
up
good ones,
there, but they stopped. Hanes got bought out by Gildan.
But
I hope the beefy tee has got 1 year on me. They celebrated 50 years last year.
All my good dead shirts in the 80s were all Hanes beefy tee, right? But in general, people get what they pay for. So if you want a nice print because the person's using a good machine, you got to pay for it. Nothing's free.
Right.
I remember selling people some whatever I was selling, and they go, "Oh, you got to do better on the price." And I'm like, "It's $900." I said, "I'd make $127. How much would you like back?" And they go, "That's all you make?" I go, "Well, look at your business. What's the hard cost on the goods that you?" Oh, I guess you're right.
When I get asked that question, if I could do better on the price, I go, "Yes, I could raise the price, but that wouldn't be fair to you. Turn it around."
You
Could I
know?
do better on the price? So I'll tell you a little story that I've been doing a road race this year. This will be my 50th year doing this road race, and it was a Rotary Club, and their treasurer was notoriously frugal. So back 40 years ago, he said to me, "I want the cheapest shirt you can get." So there was a company in Chicago called A&G, and they got the shirts from Pakistan, and you had to buy them in case lots, and the cases were 2 small, 4 medium, 4 large, and 2 extra large. Well, I was able to sell them the shirts with printing for $1.65 each and make a little bit of money.
What year was
But
that?
when those shirts came in, they came in burlap burlap like dope. It's burlap thing with metal
Yeah.
things on. And I opened them up. The size breakdown, instead of being 2442, it was like 6831. It was all skewed towards smaller shirts, and the shirts were like cheesecloth. And so I opened them up. I got sick. I was like, "Oh shit! The race is this weekend. We hardly have time to print them. I can't send them back, and so I'm just gonna have to do it and suck it up and do it." So we did it, and they got them, and the treasurer was thrilled because they were so cheap, and the runners were thrilled because they were so lightweight, because back then they didn't have lightweight shirts. It wasn't a thing. So they loved them. So even though I thought, oh, this is going to put me out of business, the next year they wanted to do the same shirts. I'm no, I can't, I'm sorry, I can't do that. But it was so funny that I was ready to hang it up, and
So,
it turned out.
funny you say that, because you never really know what the other side is thinking or wants. So if I had a store, I'd be bankrupt, because everything I would buy, I'm sure nobody else would want, right? Could be the price, the print, the quality. So I've learned to, ask a few more questions, pause before saying things.
And that's why I say to customers, I can't just tell you what shirt you should get. I have to talk to you first. We have to know like what's important to you, and how we can. I says, because that's like a doctor prescribing a prescription to you without diagnosing you. We have to have that conversation, and some people push back and they're, oh, I just want a cheap shirt. And I'm
No,
like,
but
well,
I
you're
want
probably
you.
not the right place.
I want you to have a sample. Send me an email. You have the sample. Go ahead. Right.
Yeah.
The I just want this doesn't work, because it's not a problem until it's a problem. Right. Especially if they're paying up front, I'll do whatever they want. We could argue later. But if I got to lay out the money, I want an approved sample. I want something signed. I want to have something to go back after to compare. What's the biggest order you ever had in the 50 years?
Well, I think it was Bank of Boston merged with what was it? It was Bank Boston and Fleet merged, and they did shirts for every employee. So it was like they had banks all across the world. So it was like, I think it was maybe 40,000 or 30,000 shirts. And I obviously couldn't print them all myself, so I had to get people to do them for me. And one of the things was, back then we used to get half down and then the balance after the job was done. So I'm working the numbers, and so I called the bank and I said, listen, in order for me to do this job, it's the middle of summer. I have to, I have certain credit limits with my suppliers. I'm going to have to borrow money from a bank. And because you are a bank, it wouldn't make sense for me. So I can give you 2 prices, one where you pay me up front, and the other one where I have to borrow the money from another bank. And
They must have been laughing.
And he goes, he understood, and he wanted them all done in 2 weeks. And I'm like, there's no way I can get them done in 2 weeks. I can get them done in 4 weeks, but I can promise you we'll get like half done in 2 weeks and the balance done in the 4 weeks. And he says, if you can promise me that, I'll send you down the check today. And he sent the courier, sent the check. It was over $100,000. It was a lot of money. And I got the check and I was like, holy shit, maybe now's the time to leave town. But so I had to employ contract printers to print the shirts for me all around Boston. And one of them told me, he says, you got to take this shirt to the bank and have them sign off on it. I said, we don't have time for that. Here's the artwork. Here's the PMS colors. You got to stop printing them right now. He goes, oh, I've done big jobs like this. You have to get them to sign off on the proof. I said, why? What could possibly happen? He says, well, they won't pay you. And I pulled the check out of my back pocket. I said,
And they started printing.
I'm your customer. They're not your customer. If something goes wrong, it's on me. It's not on. So get the presses going. And we were able to pull it off. And we got them all done. And then the following year, I got an RFP from the bank for another job with a similar amount of shirts. And I said, oh, and this is February, right? So I'm like, oh, so we know how to do this. We can pull this up. So I figured out the pricing and everything. So I gave him the price. I gave him the whole thing. Well, what had actually happened is the people in purchasing were pissed off that the guy, the vice president of the bank, prepaid and didn't negotiate with me. So they said he should have gone through purchasing. So purchasing said, look, we got the same job from the same vendor and it's cheaper and it's cheaper. And I says, I was so livid, I wanted to drive into the bank. But by then they were merging. They were in a mess situation. But about 6 months after that, I got a call and they said, did I send some shirts to Cameroon? And I'm like, no, I didn't. But what happened is they had sent shirts to Cameroon and they didn't have the proper paperwork in them. So they were held up in customs for like almost a year. So the bank had to pay them like, I don't know, $500 for 2 dozen shirts. But that was on them. It wasn't on me, but it was just, that was one of my bigger jobs.
Yeah.
But
leave it to purchasing to fuck things up because they think they know better.
Oh yeah.
They know nothing.
Yeah, right.
They buy toilet paper, printing, and machines, and they think they know.
You can't wipe your ass with the toilet paper; it's so cheap. Then they got to buy new stuff.
And then they buy the narrow one, so it doesn't even sit on your hand. No, but it's bad like that when that happens with purchasing, right? But that's a good order from the bank.
Yeah, it was good.
Need more of those.
But then the bank, when they merged, the Fleet had their own supplier down Rhode Island, so that ended that. But that was a good run.
Listen, I think today, if you have a customer for 5 years, you're pretty good, right? Like the regular stuff, the big orders, you're good until someone in the bank changes. Because the people that you're dealing with like the simplicity, because they know what they're going to get. All of a sudden, a new person comes in, and I usually sit there and wait for them to screw something up because smart people ask people in the company, how's it running here? What's happened? What's good? What's bad? The not so smart come in and they just pick their new suppliers who don't know the course of action, right?
And then invariably they come back to you. And then I have that conversation. Says, well, what happened with they screwed it all up. And I'm like, well, I'm not happy to hear that, but I'm happy you're back.
Yeah, you just can't rub it in their face too much, right? You just
a
have
little bit.
No, a little bit.
And my art director says to me, when people come in and I'll heckle them and they look at him and they say, does he give everyone shit like this? And he goes, no, he usually gives them more shit than you're getting. So
that's funny. Actually, the bbest thing I like about what I'm doing is
you don't talk to the customers unless you want to.
Well, yeah, but I'll talk to all of them. Like, I mean, I was telling you before, I had a couple orders that came in that were like 5 shirts, 6 shirts, 10 shirts, whatever. As soon as the bell goes off on my phone and I'm looking, I'm like, oh my God. And I pick up
Pavlov's
the phone.
Dog.
I pick up the phone and I call the customer. I'm like, I introduce myself. They're like, huh? What? I go, yeah, you just bought T-shirts from me. I said, I just want to tell you how happy I am and thank you and I appreciate it. And It's nice. And then I even I'll even write them a note and put it in the envelope when I get the order. And I had a fella not long ago. I sent out the thank you card. He sends me an email, says, "I got your thank you card. Thank you." He goes, "Just so you know, one of the shirts I bought came in the wrong color, and I don't wear pink." So my wife was laughing, but I wore it to work. He goes, "And you know what? Everybody loved it."
That's awesome.
So he was calling me with like a double thank you, right? So I was like, "Great, we got to make a video, and you got to help me promote it."
So I have a lot of school clients and stuff, and they'll come in and they'll say, "Oh, we don't want to do a girly color," and I go, "What's a girly color?" And they go, like pink. I said, "Are you familiar with Vineyard Vines? They sell pink and lime green, and they're very popular." And I said, but more importantly, you're teaching kids, like, you should be breaking down that kind of bullshit that there's girly colors and I try not to give them too much shit, but it's like, it's fun because they can't like defend that. It's like, yeah, you're teaching the kids that there are girly colors and masculine colors, and I know there is. I'm not like that naive to think there aren't, but at the same time, it's a color. A color's a color.
Well, it's funny you say pink. Pink is my favorite color. It's the Print Whisper brand
Yeah,
color.
you got it around
half
the
of
edge.
half of my closet is pink shirts, and you know what? I like them. They look great when you have a tan, not maybe when you're a ghost. But the ladies like you in pink.
Yeah. No.
Right. And what are we doing? We're all marketing and selling ourselves. Doesn't matter if what time of day it is. There's always something to be done. But wow. And how long are you going to do this for?
I think I got to wrap it up now. It's almost
No, I meant your
1:30.
business.
Huh?
No, we're done this in a minute. I meant the business. How long do you want to keep going?
Oh, it's a good question. When it's not fun anymore.
Like Bob Weir.
When it's not fun anymore, I'll move on. Moving on down the road, but it's still fun. I still enjoy it. I don't have to worry about a whole lot. Which coming up the ranks, there was always, things you had to worry about, but I don't.
Listen, when you're building,
we still have hiccups, and there's still jobs that go south and that kind of stuff. But basically, it's mostly fun and pleasurable, because when you do a good job for yeah, right. And I get to, so most of our jobs are pretty small. So when they come in and pick up the shirts, they're like, "Oh, these are awesome, and thank you so much," and blah, blah, blah. And, and then they send their friends in. But
there is nothing better than having a client be excited, tell you how excited they are, and just be grateful for what they have.
Yeah.
Those are the best customers.
And a lot of shirts we do are for good. They're for good. So this one was on my desk here. This is for the fire out in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And they did, they had a lot of sponsors, and they did a bunch of shit. They raised a lot of money to support that fire. And we did a thing for to support Ukraine, and we still have a Shopify store. It's not as active as it once was, but we raised I think $40,000 for
Good for you.
For Jose, the World Central Kitchen. I don't know if you're familiar with them. They go to places and serve the food, and so it was a Facebook fundraiser, and then so all the money we made from the shirts went into that fundraiser, but also people donated directly to the fundraiser, and then Facebook shut it down because they only let you do it for a year or two.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but and then I'm patting myself in the back here. I apologize, but we started a socks for good program where we donated socks to anywhere in the country. We would donate 150 pairs of socks for $150, and we would ship them directly to the. So we did it. So if you say you wanted to do, well, you're in Canada, you couldn't be involved. But if you were in, so we sent shirts to homeless shelters in Arizona, and the person who would donate the $150 would get they're the sponsors of it, and then the homeless shelter would get 150 pairs of socks, which in legitimately were worth $250 to $4 a pair. So it was a win for everybody. So it only cost us, I think it cost us like $25 just to help cover the to make the numbers work, so the 150 would work out. It wasn't a moneymaker, but we ended up getting, and we did it through, I think it was Alpha Broda, because they'd give me free shipping over $150. So the socks were $150. They would ship them for free. And then we built that up to the last year we did it. We sent out over 6,000 pairs of socks.
Wow.
And then Gildan got out of the sock business, so they stopped carrying it through our distributor. So we stopped doing that. But it was a great run, and I got to figure out something. And how I was inspired to do that is I went to there's a monastery in the next town over that we do shirts and stuff for them, but they had a speaker, and the speaker was Jim O'Connell. And he was the founder or the early on director of Boston Healthcare for the Homeless. And he wrote a book called the Rough Sleepers, I think is the name of the book, and it talks about his journey in working at the Boston Healthcare for the Homeless. But when he first started there, they told him, they said, listen, for the first 3 months, you're going to wash people's feet. And he's like, what the fuck? I'm washing feet? I just graduated from medical school. I'm a doctor and I'm washing feet. So he's in there and he tells a story how he's washing this guy's feet. And the guy says to him, hey, you're a big doctor, you're washing my feet. What the, like they were heckling him. And, but he told this whole story. And then after hearing that story, I came away from that and I'm going, what the hell am I doing? This guy's saving people's lives in the streets of Boston. And, what can I do? What can I figure out to do? And that's when I came up with the Socks for Good thing. So it was a good run. It made me feel great. And I got more benefit out of it than the people who got the socks. But I got to figure out the next
Yeah, listen, it's kudos to you, and you should pat yourself on the back. And anyone out there who does anything good for others should pat themselves on the back, because there's not enough people doing good for others for what everybody, for what a lot of people have and what we do. I'm in the same boat in that I've always wanted to help people less fortunate. Like, even though when I'm complaining sometimes, I still think I'm rather fortunate with what I've got to see, do, and experience in life. And even with my printwhisper.shop, I mean, 10% of the profit, I'm actually cannot wait to generate more sales, to have the money to call the foundation and say, I want to make a kid's dream come true. I'm actually thinking about calling to find out what the minimum is for a small dream even, and I'll just maybe pay for it because I want to get the momentum. I want to go.
You got to get to the 25 grand so you can so you can co-brand with them. That'd be awesome.
I'm not using their logo, but I'm writing Make a Wish.
Right.
That's fine. And and I think between all my posting, a couple 100,000 people have seen the Make a Wish. So hopefully they've gone there. I've even offered to do some shirts for Make a Wish at some point and leave it on the site, and kind of like your Ukraine, every penny of profit from those will go right directly to Make a Wish. if we could help, I mean, we won't get into it, but the world's in such a shit place. Kids today need every chance they can to have at least a good advantage, a good running chance. That's what I feel. So we're going to end it on a good note that we like to do good for people that are less fortunate. We're hoping people, if they made it this far, are getting ideas on what they could do to help out some other people that are less fortunate. Today's a good day. Do good. Every day is a good day. Do good, right? Every day I wake up is a good day. So that's good. Yeah. So, I want to just thank you for, again, I'm always going to thank you because I think you're awesome, but for taking the time coming on and just sharing some of your experiences with us and what it is. Anybody listening, you need shirts, call Ronnie. Don't call me. I'm just a middle guy. No. If you want one, you can call me, but anything over one, you got to call Ronnie. If you want fishing shirts, you're going to call. So the fishing shirts that I bought from you went to my daughter, this daughter here, who's now 35. Cool. And her and her boyfriend are big time fishermen, so they were psyched to get them, and they promised me they get a picture holding up a fish wearing your shirts. So yeah, no, what I think is, first of all, I'm super appreciative of that, and I love people who fish just because I fish. But I think it's even cooler that the guy who's been in t-shirts for so long bought some t-shirts for me to give as gifts. Beautiful. So, folks, thanks everybody for always listening. Anything you want to know, reach out to me. If I don't know it, I'll find out about it. And keep listening. And any of you in the industry, if you see me at Long Beach or you see me anywhere, be sure and stop and say hello. I could tell you that when you stop him, he's going to give you the time. All right. Ciao, everyone. All right.